Welcome back, everyone. For today's video, we are going to be taking a look at day number 2, the final day of the Blitz portion of the FIDE World Rapid Blitz and Team Championship. Now, yesterday was the qualification phase. Today we move into the final 16, and it is a straight up knockout. Now, what that means is the teams play one game with white, one game with black, colors alternating. It's a best of 2. If the match is tied 1-1 after the 2 team matches, there will be tiebreakers. So, the first game we're going to be looking at is the very first game of the day. Our team, the WR Chess team, is playing against Malcolm's mates. We played them earlier in the event. I played against the former British number 1, Michael Adams, but today I'm playing against Nikita Vidyugov, a player who is originally from Russia but has emigrated to the United Kingdom, or immigrated I should say. So, I have the white pieces, and I start out with the move c4, and now we get the move e5. Here I played the move a3, essaying this classic system in the English, which I've already played against Michael Adams and Nigel Short. Why not play it against another British player, Nikita Vidyugov? So we got the move g6. I go b4, bishop g7, bishop b2, knight e7, and now I play the move e3. Now what I should have played here was the move knight to f3, attacking the pawn, and the reason is that here black should play the move d6, and ordinarily this would mean nothing, but there's a very important point we'll see later, which is that this pawn on d6 now is stuck guarding the pawn on e5, whereas in the game, the game I should say, turns out a little bit differently. Now, before we get too deep into the weeds, I do apologize if I'm a little bit hazy, but the closing ceremony did just end. I'm very tired, so if I make some mistakes, please bear with me. So, I play the move e3. We got the move castles, I go d3, and now black is able to play this move d5. And this is exactly why I should have played knight f3 to force d6, so that here if black tries to go d5, you simply hang this pawn on e5. So, I played d3, d5, takes, queen c2, and now we get the move a6. Now, what I should have played here was knight f3 first, trying to target this pawn on e5, forcing black to guard, because when I go queen c2 right away, Vidyugov had a very strong move, pawn to a5, trying to attack this white chain of pawns on the queen side, and if I play a move like b5 here after c6, takes, black is already much better, because after I go knight f3, black can play bishop g4, bishop e2, and rook c8, and suddenly I'm way behind in development. There are all kinds of fossils that exist, and white is in serious trouble. In fact, the computer says white is just lost. So, Vidyugov plays a6. I breathed a little bit of a sigh of relief when I saw this, because at the board, I was kind of afraid of this a5 move. So I go knight f3, knight c6, bishop to e2, we get h6, and now I castle my king. Now here we've reached a pretty standard Sicilian system with the colors reversed. I've created a bit of this hedgehog setup with these pawns on e3 and d3. White should be completely fine. So we get queen e7. I play knight c3, we get takes, bishop f5, and now I play the move queen b2, lining up the AA battery on the diagonal. Here we get the move rook fd8, and now I play the move rook fd1. Vidyugov plays rook d7, I play a4 here, and now I'm starting to press a little bit, because my main idea in this position is that say black were to play king h7, I have b5 here, attacking the pony, and after takes, I can simply go rook takes a1, and when this knight moves away from the c6 square, say back to b8, I simply take this pawn for free on e5. So already here after a4, I'm threatening to undermine the horse which guards this pawn. Vidyugov plays rook e8, I go b5, takes, knight d8, and now I play the move rook 8, trying to create the kebab, as well as some pins on the 8th rank. Vidyugov plays g5, and here I play the move h3. Now, one of the great things about this game, which you probably can tell already, is the time situation. I am managing my time extremely well here. I'm up 1 minute on the clock, and I also have a very nice position. Now here we get the move b6, and I play this move knight to e1, and this is a start of going a little bit of the wrong direction. I'm trying to play relatively quickly here, but what I should have done is probably play this move d4 here, trying to open up this diagonal. If black were to play e4 after knight d2, let's say knight b7 for example, I can simply go bishop b4, and with the active bishops, the great rook on a8, also something like knight d6 and rook a1 for example, white should be doing very well. But I go knight e1, and this is a move which is very deep positionally. What I'm trying to do is go knight c2, knight b4, and put the knight on either d5 or c6. So you get bishop g6, knight c2, knight b7, I trade, and now I play the move bishop f3. Here Vidyugov goes knight d8. Initially, he was very close to playing this move knight c5. He was reaching for the knight to move it, but after bishop c6, it's suddenly uh-oh spaghetti-o time. The rook is pinned. If you move the rook, you do a Botez gambit and resign, and if you move the queen, I simply take the rook here, And actually, knight b4 is probably not best. Bishop takes e5 would be simpler. And here I simply have a rook for a bishop, and I should go on to win the game. So we get knight d8, stopping this bishop c6 idea, and now I play knight b4, guarding this pawn on d3. Here, Vidyugov plays queen e7, I go e4, we get the move h5, and now I play the move queen to e2. Now here I probably should have played knight to d5, creating the bastion with this knight targeting the queen and the pawns here, because after queen to e8 and a move like rook to a1, now this pawn on e5 is weak, the rook is infiltrating to the 8th rank, and black is in all kinds of trouble. Instead, I go queen e2. Vidyugov plays queen c5, I play rook c1, we get queen takes pawn, and now I take the pawn on h5. We get knight to e6, I trade, and here I play the move g3, cutting off this f4 square from the pony. Now, I have 37 seconds against 6 seconds here, and it's very important to note that one of my big weaknesses these days in Blitz is that when I get down to seconds on the clock, I tend to have brain problems where my brain just freezes and I don't know what to do. So it's all looking very good here after c6. I play queen g4, king to f7, guarding the horse, and now I play king g2. Vidyugov goes bishop to f6, and now I play the move bishop d2, and this move is simply a mistake. What I should have played was the move bishop to e1 here, and the reason is that now if black plays c5, similar to the game, after knight to d5 and queen takes d3, I can now play this move rook to c3 here, and after black moves the queen away, I have rook to f3, and all of a sudden, all of black's pieces are weak, and I should win the game. But when I go bishop d2, c5, knight to d5, queen takes pawn, suddenly rook c3 is not an option because I would simply hang the bishop on d2, and after rook to f3, black will sack the rook with rook takes knight, and after takes, black has a bishop and a knight in return for the rook, and black will win the game. So now I go bishop to e1, and here Vidyugov plays the move king g7 with a couple seconds left on the clock, and this is a huge mistake. Now what Vidyugov should have done here is sack the rook with rook takes knight, because after takes, queen d5, queen f3 for example, takes, and something like knight d4, black should be very slightly better, although I realized here apparently e4 would be even better. So if Vidyugov had sacked the rook, I'm not sure that I would have won this game, spoiler alert, but he plays the move king g7. Now, one of the great things is that this is the first round of the day. I'm playing someone who's a little bit older than me, so it's not someone who's super sharp in these situations. But if I were playing someone else, like I would play in later rounds, I have no doubt that I would have run into rook takes d5 and been in trouble. So we get king g7. Now I play the move knight takes b6, and this is a move that I played here. I sort of panicked because initially I thought free horse. But if I take the horse after queen takes pawn, checking the king, I move the king, black takes the knight, and somehow now I'm simply down. I'm going to be down one pawn in this position. Now, it doesn't mean I'm losing or anything, but it's not a free piece. So I sort of panic. I play knight takes b6 after a think because it feels like there should be some way to win. Rook to c3 here would have been much stronger and actually effectively ended the game because after black plays queen to b1, spying the pawn, now I can take the horse, and after queen e4, I have rook to f3, blocking the check, but more importantly, when black captures the horse, I take the bishop, and with the extra b, I should win the game. So, I go knight b6, a little bit of a panic move to get rook d6, I play knight c4, rook to a6, and now I go knight to e3, trying to reroute my horse back to the bastion square of d5. So we get queen d7, I play rook d1, queen e8, knight d5, and now we get the move knight d4, and this is the final blunder. Vidyugov still would have been in the game after queen to f7, but when he goes knight d4, I play knight c7, forking the queen and the rook, and now after queen a4, I take, my queen guards this rook, we get takes, bishop d2, c4, I take, queen c6, trade, h4, c3, check, king f7, takes, c2, takes, sacking the rook, takes, and here Vidyugov resigns the game because he is temporarily down 3 pawns, and if he tries to capture on e4, I simply go queen to f3, checking the king, forcing the trade, and with 3 versus 1, this will be a very easy game to win. So, after queen takes d1, I get a very big win in my first game of the day. The team would be cruising as well. We would win our first match. In the second match, I would play Vidyugov once again. I would win against him with a black piece in a very messy game, and that meant I would move to 2 out of 2. Now, we're in the final 8 teams here after this win, but in round number 2, we were playing against this team called Germany and France. Now, this is where there was big drama on the day, so we're going to talk about it for a second. In this match being paired up against Germany and France, there was a lot of confusion around this match. Now, what happened is we were under the impression that the teams were listed at the time of 3:17 local, which meant that the games would be starting at least 10 minutes after that at 3:27. Nonetheless, once we knew the pairings were out, we went down as quickly as possible. I remember that I arrived in the playing hall at 3:22, and to my horror, I saw that my clock had started and I had 48 seconds. Now, what the team probably should have done in the situation is just chosen not to play the game and forfeited everywhere, because had we done that, it would have made the situation a lot clearer for a later appeal. But when you get there with such limited time, you don't know what to do. The players start making moves, so naturally I made moves. And in this first match against Germany, we would go on to lose this match. Myself, Ali Reza, and Jan Nepomuceno would all lose. After the match concluded, we would file an appeal based on the fact that we had been told that the games would be starting a little bit after the team compositions were revealed. Ultimately, the ruling was that the appeal was successful, the results were annulled, and we played the match from scratch again. Now, I think the situation was very, very messy. I'm giving you a little bit of this commentary before we continue with our recap, because it is very important, and I think it's a tough situation because I feel that the blame lies with the arbiters for not being clear with the instructions when the round would start, how the team compositions would work, but at the same time, I don't blame the German team for being very unhappy with what transpired. So you have a situation where the German team's unhappy, the WR team that I'm on is unhappy, the arbiters have made a mistake, and it's really a no-win situation for anybody. Now, we would play the matches. We would defeat the German team very convincingly in the rematch, which meant that we were in the Final Four. Now, in the Final Four, we were playing against a very strong team called Hexamind, and I was playing against the Dutch #1 and Twitter extraordinaire, Anish Giri. Now, Anish has been on the rise recently. His classical rating is up to 2748. He's back in the top 15, knocking on the door of the top 10, and he's someone who is very hungry. So I have the white pieces. I play the move knight to f3. We get knight f6, g3, d5, bishop g2, e6, castles, bishop e7, and now I play the move d3. We get castles, knight d2, knight c6, very similar to a game I played the other day, and now I play the move d4 once again, as I still don't want to allow black to close the center with these pawns mirroring each other. So I go d4, Anish plays a5, I play c3, b6, queen c2, bishop b7, and now I play the move e4. We get pawn takes pawn here. I take the pawn. If you guys have been watching my recaps in recent times, you probably will remember that I played the move knight g5 in the Chess Champions Tour Armageddon game against Jan Nepomuceno, but this move is simply not a good decision. So I take the pawn. We get takes, a4, and now I play the move queen c2. Now, probably here I should have played the move queen to g4 or h4 right away to go for the hook with knight g5 and queen h7, but I play queen c2 trying to be quick. We get knight to a5, here I play rook e1, bishop d5, and now I play the move h4 trying to go for knight g5. Anish plays h6 stopping it, and now I play the move knight to e5. Anish trades the bishops, plays queen d5, I go king g1, and now we get to move knight c4. Now at this point, the opening has been a complete buzz for me. Anish, true to form, knows his opening theory very well, and he has completely equalized the position. So I go bishop to f4, trying to activate this bishop. I'm hoping to be able to get a wooden shield on e5 here with this great bishop. And Anish plays the move bishop d6. Now, there's nothing wrong with this move, but as Anish and I discussed after the game, this is probably the start of going in the wrong direction. Probably Anish should have simply traded and played the move bishop d6 here, and after c4, queen c6, the b's are going to come off the board, and this position should be completely fine, with basically no risk for black to lose. Instead, Anish plays the move bishop to d6 here, and now I play the move rook a d1, and Anish plays b5. Now, the main issue for Anish here is that now there is no easy simplification. He can obviously take and go queen c6, but this also looks a little bit awkward to me after something like rook to d4 with queen e2 and queen g4, and it feels like white should have some counterplay. Now, computer actually thinks after rook d8, black is apparently very marginally better, but I feel like in a blitz game with white controlling this open d file and all these ideas of kingside attack, it feels like from a practical standpoint, this should be easier to play for white. So Anish goes b5, but now I play b3, attacking the horse. We get the trade, and here Anish goes knight b6. Now, obviously, Anish cannot play knight takes knight in this position, because after pawn takes knight, it's uh-oh spaghetti-o time. Both the queen and the rook are under attack, and when you move the queen, you lose the bishop. You move the bishop, you lose the queen. You lose the game either way. So Anish goes knight b6, I play c4, takes, queen b7, and now I play the move queen to e2, trying to shift my queen to the king side so I can start attacking Anish's king. Now, you might be wondering, why not c5 here, forking the bishop and the knight, right? Looks like you're winning material. But here, black can simply take my knight, and now after I take, black moves the bishop, and material remains the same. So I go queen e2, shifting my gaze towards the king side. Anish takes, I take back with the bishop. Now I have this very nice wooden shield in the center, but more importantly, there's no bishop to simply trade it off. So we get knight d7. I do a little bit of a repetition here. Actually, sorry. Did I repeat? I guess I didn't repeat. I play bishop f4, knight f6. I go rook b1 here. I thought about doing the dilly-dally tickle with bishop f4, bishop e5 once more, but I thought, why bother? Because here I'm up 30 seconds. If I repeat, only Anish gains time, and that can only benefit him. So I play rook b1. We get queen c6. I go rook b5. We get rook a7 here. Anish is trying to guard this pawn, but also line up the double stack so that he can play rook to a1 and try to checkmate my king on this g1 square. Now, it's also worth pointing out, if black were to play a move like rook a4, after rook c5, suddenly the bishop and the rook combine, and after queen a8 and bishop takes rook takes c7, I should say, white is up a pawn here. Computer, of course, says after rook a2 it's nothing, but in a blitz game with limited time, you don't want to blunder this pawn. So Anish goes rook a7, preparing for rook c5, where he can simply move the queen and guard the pawn. Here I go bishop e5, knight d7, and now I play this move d5 here, opening up the diagonals for the bishop. Anish trades, and here he makes the fatal error when he plays queen a6. Now, Anish should have played the move queen to g6 here, and after a move like bishop to f4, white is maybe okay. Actually, not bishop f4, sorry, what am I saying? After h5, queen f5, and bishop d4, I thought that I had some chance to play for more here. I wasn't really sure if this was anything special, but the game goes on. But Anish plays queen a6, and this is a very bad move, not only because of the obvious tactic that exists, but the fact that I have another move that Anish should have seen when he played queen a6, which is that I can also go rook to a1, attacking the queen and the rook. Now, the computer, of course, says that black can sack the queen, and black is fine here after takes, king g2, and I think knight f6. But again, why would you want to go queen a6, allowing rook a1? So it's a clear sign that Anish was already a little bit shaky, but luckily for me, I don't play rook a1. I saw the tactic while Anish was thinking in this position before moving the queen, which is to play the move bishop takes g7, temporarily sacking a bishop here, but after takes and queen g4, the queen checks the king, attacks the knight, creates a classic 90-degree right triangle, and after queen g6 and queen takes d7, now I simply have 4 pawns versus 3 in an endgame. The black king a little bit weak here without this g pawn, no pawn on this g file here, so I should be winning the game. Anish plays queen f6, I go rook to b4, we got king h8, and now I play the move rook to f4, trying to pressure the pawn on f7. We get queen g6, and here I play queen e7. Apparently rook to e8 would have been winning, but after takes king g7, I simply did not see the win after check and king g8. Apparently here I have h5, and after check, king g2, the g file is open here, all kinds of big threats, and I would have checkmated him. But instead I go queen e7. Anish plays king g8, I play rook e4, trying to go for rook g4 to pin the tail on the donkey and win the queen. We get queen d6, here I trade, and now I go rook to f6, converting into an endgame where I will be up 2 pawns, because either this pawn on d6 or the pawn on h6 will fall. Anish goes king g7, I take, we get rook a1, king g2, rook d1, and now I check and play the move rook f4. King g7, I play h5, rook d2, rook f5, trying to guard both my pawns. We get rook d4, I play a couple of waiting moves, and now I put the rook on d7 to permanently tie this rook down to the f7 pawn. Anish goes rook d2, I check, king h7, and now I start to bring my king up the board. We get king h8, king e3, rook d1, and now I play the move king to f4, trying to push the king up to f6 to win the pawn on f7. Anish goes rook d2, f3, rook d3, king e4, rook d1, and now I go king to f5, continuing my march of the king. We get rook to d3, I play rook to f4, and now Anish plays the move rook g8. Now I could have played f4 as well to go king f6, but I think here I was a little bit worried about something like rook b3 and rook b6 or something. I don't know exactly what I thought, but I thought rook f4 was fine to guard this pawn and again go for king f6. We get rook to g8, I play g4, rook to e8, and now I go king to f6, finally finishing the plan where the f7 pawn is unguardable. Anish goes king g8, I take the pawn, he takes this one, I go king g6, and now the rooks guard each other. The king is going to capture the pawn on h6, so after rook e6, I play the move rook to f6, and in this position, Anish resigns the game, because if he moves the rook away, I've checkmate in Uno with rook f8. If he checks, I take the pawn. If he trades, I'm going to win this pawn on h6, and with 3 pawns and a rook versus a rook, there is no chance of a miracle. So, I get a very, very big win here against Anish. This would help my team win the first match against the Hexamine team in the semifinals. We would also, I believe, tie the next match, I think 3-3 if I'm not mistaken, advancing to the grand finals. Now, in the grand finals, we were playing against this Kaz chess team, another very strong team. And in the first match, I have white once again, and I'm playing against Grandmaster Richard Rapport from Hungary. Now, Richie is someone that I've played against many times recently and in the past, so he's a very familiar opponent. And once again, I play knight f3 and g3. Now, you're probably wondering, why do I keep playing knight f3 and g3 every game? Now that the tournament is over, I will give you guys a little bit of insight into my thinking. Not as far back, I should say, going into the third rapid day, after the first 2 days of rapid, I was simply gassed. I was too tired. I've been on the road for a month. I had nothing left in the tank. And rather than try to study chess, I just wanted to play simple positions and go from there. So starting from the final day of the rapid and into the splits, I have not been studying. I'm simply trying to play chess, get out of the opening, and then figure it all out. So we get g6, bishop g2, bishop g7, and now I play the move d4. We get castles, castles, Richard plays d6, and now I play the move b3. Now, of course, I could play the move c4, and we would be in the classic King's Indian defense, although this is the fianchetto variation, as I have put my bishop on this diagonal. So, I go b3 instead, trying to go for the double fianchetto with the 2 bishops, and now we get the move b5. Now, Richard played this move instantly, which was really surprising to me because this move felt like a blunder, but now I play the move c4 after a 17-second think. Now, it'd be very easy here to sink deep into the tank for like a minute and consider this move knight to e5, but what I realized is that Richard had set up a trap. He was hoping that I would go for this because he would sack the rook with pawn takes, knight takes, and I actually thought after the move c6, suddenly this bishop is walled in, and after, say, a4, b4, takes a knight d5, this pawn is hanging, there's knight b6 and knight c7 to trap the bishop in the corner pocket. After e4, knight c7, look at these knights. They cover all the critical squares here, and I'm going to lose the bishop, and I'm going to lose the game. So I played c4 relatively quickly, did not want to spend a minute thinking about knight e5 because we know what happens when I get low on time. We get takes, I play knight d2 here, attacking the tower, we get c6, and now I take on c4 with the knight. We get a5, bishop b2, bishop e6, knight d2, trying to protect the horse, and now we have the move rook to a6. Now, I really like this move from Richard, even though the computer hates it, because black wants to develop the pony, but here I would take the pawn and simply win the game. So he goes rook a6 guarding so that he can develop the knight. I play rook c1, knight d7, and now I play the move queen c2. Now, it's very tricky judging the time usage in such situations. I did want to play the move e4 initially, but I wasn't sure what was going on after d5 because black starts to challenge this big white center, and I didn't want to spend 30 seconds on any move. So I go queen c2, we get c5, I play rook d1, we get queen b8, and now I play the move queen d3, trying to line up some fossils against this tower, or unguarded tower, I should say, on this a6 square. We get takes, takes, knight c5, and now I play the move queen c3, re-energizing the double A battery, pun intended. We get rook f8, or rook c8, I should say. I move my queen back into the corner. Here, I'm simply trying to line up the double A battery and have my rooks on these files. Richard goes bishop g4, I play rook to e1, guarding the pawn, and now we get the move bishop d7. Here I play bishop f1. The reason I played this move is that initially I wanted to play e4, but after e4 there's knight to d3, forking the 2 towers, and I will lose the game. So I go bishop f1, we get knight e8, I take, and now I go e4 as the bishop covers this d3 square. We get rook a7, I play e5, and now we get the move d5. Now, around this point in the game, I thought I was starting to take over the initiative here. I thought that d5 was a bad move, even though the computer says it's best. Initially, I thought we would get takes, takes, bishop e6, and after knight to f3 with these knights marching towards the center of the board, I thought I should be better. So we get d5. I play knight to e3, we get bishop e6, and now I play the move knight to f3. Richard plays knight to f5, I trade the knights, and now I play the move knight d4. By the way, for anybody who's wondering, technically it is Richard Hungarian, although I've said Richard a few times, so I'm probably going to be bouncing back and forth. So I go knight d4. We get bishop d7, and now I play rook c3. We get rook c7, and here I play the move bishop g2, targeting the pawn on d5. We get e6, guarding the pawn, and now I play the move rook to d1, queen b6, and here I play h4, launching my pawn on the king side. We get a4, and here I make a huge mistake when I play this move h5. Now, what's amazing about this move, I'm going to be honest, you guys, is that as soon as I played it, I realized this was a huge blunder, but Richard immediately played pawn takes pawn, and I breathed a sigh of relief. Now, the reason this move h5 is so bad is that black can sack the knight with knight takes pawn, and suddenly we have a fossil scenario. The queen and the rook are under attack, and if I take the knight with the pawn, I lose the rook, the two towers coordinate, and now I lose the game. But luckily, a takes b3 is played in 1 second. I take back, and now there are no tricks with knight takes b3, because after rook takes knight, there's no pawn guarding the pony, and my knight guards the rook. So I dodge a bullet here when a takes b3 is played instantly. This does happen in Blitz sometimes. You see an instant trade, and it's just automatic. You miss the tactic, and luckily for me, fate was smiling on me, or Lady Luck was smiling on me, I should say. So I take. We get knight to e4. I trade the towers here on c7, and now I take this knight on e4. Now, it's a very nervy situation here. I'm up 25 seconds, but I simply could not find the continuation to prove the advantage. So I trade, and now I go knight to e2. We get rook to b8 here, and now I play this move h6. Now, probably what should have happened here is that Richard should have played queen c2 attacking the knight, or maybe bishop b5 right away here. I guess bishop b5 runs into rook c1 apparently, but rook to b8 is simply too slow, because now I go h6, and suddenly all these dark squares around this black king are very weak. Now, this is what happens when you fianchetto the bishop in any sort of variation or opening. If you lose the bishop and white gets a pawn here, you can almost always end up in a lot of danger. So we get bishop b5. I go knight to f4, trying to stop bishop d3 so that this d file stays open for my rook. We get queen e7, I play queen c1, and now we get the move queen g5. And this is a huge mistake because I correctly play the move knight d5 instantly, offering the trade of the queens, but much more importantly, if black takes the queen, I do not recapture instantly, no, because then I would lose the knight in the game, but I play knight to f6, checking the king, and after king h8, rook takes c1, this king is buried in the corner. The pawn stops this square, or covers the square, the knight covers the other square, and after, say, rook a8 and rook to c7, suddenly black's king is stuck. After rook f8, there are many ways for white to win, but I probably will just take, put the horse back, and eventually, I'm simply going to bring this king all the way up the board, start pushing the p, and because black's king and rook are paralyzed here, they cannot move from these squares, black will lose the game for sure. So we got queen takes pawn, which initially I missed, by the way, but luckily I have knight to e7, checking the king, and here we get the move king h8. Now, king to f8 would have been the better move here. After the game, Richard mentioned that he was worried about queen to a3, although here there is king e8. What I saw was knight to c8 anyway, setting up this checkmate threat. Say black goes bishop a6, there's checkmate, king has no escape squares, and it's GG, why not? So I was going to play knight c8 anyway, and after king to e8 here, after knight d6 check, king f8, and queen c7, the rook is hanging, there's a checkmate threat on f7, and it's simply GG as well. So we get king to h8. Here I play knight c8, setting up the checkmate with rook to d8 as the king has no escape hatch. We get bishop d3, and now I play the move queen c6, threatening the mate once again. Here we get queen to b5, and after queen to c7, Richard Rapport resigns this game here because basically there's no way to stop the checkmate threat. Now, if black were to play rook e8, I simply check, queen e8 takes, king has no escape square. If you were to play queen e8 here, I have queen to e5 check, and after king g8, there's a classic lolly checkmate with queen to g7. So black simply has no way to stop all these different checkmating patterns. So I get a very, very big win in the first game of the finals against Richard, and our team goes on to a crushing victory. I think we won this match by a score of 5.5 to half, although I could be wrong on the score. We win our first match. Now in the second match, I would play against Andrei Esipenko with the white pieces. I would also win that game. Our team, I believe, would win the final match by a score of 3.5 to 2.5, although I could be wrong once again. And that means ultimately the WR chess team emerges victorious in the Blitz portion of this event. Now, for myself, it's a very, very good result. I feel like the quality of my play was not particularly good towards the end of this tournament, but alas, it was good enough to earn me the gold medal in the Blitz on board number 3. The team wins overall as well, so it's a very, very successful Blitz portion. I gained 4 points, which is decent. Would have been better if I'd won the game against that annoying kid yesterday, but, it is what it is. So, I gained some points, I win the gold medal for board 3, the team wins the Blitz portion, and ultimately the event ends with a bang and a big success for my team. So, I'm obviously very tired, I think you guys can see, so that's going to do it for the recap of the final day of the Blitz here, day number 5 of the Blitz and Rapid of the FIDE World Rapid and Blitz Team Championship being held in Hammersmith, London. If you guys are not already subscribed to the channel, make sure that you smash that subscribe button below, and we will be back with some more content in the coming days. Tomorrow we'll be traveling back to America, and then we have Title Tuesday, so I hope you guys enjoy the ride here in London, and I'll see you all very soon. I'm going to go eat some dinner and then fall asleep. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Have a great rest of your evening or morning, wherever you are, and I'll see you very soon. Bye!